The changes we were just talking about to gun control in Canada could create new challenges for a Prince George business owner. Cassy Premack has been sitting on $75,000 of unsellable inventory for 9 months. The Prince George gun store owner was forced to hold on to guns deemed illegal by the federal government last May and has filed a lawsuit asking for a review of Bill C-21. And Cassy Premack joins me on Daybreak once again this morning. Hello there.
Hi, Carolina. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Curious to hear your reaction to the federal government's announcement yesterday.
So my reaction to yesterday's announcement is more one of confusion and not understanding really what the goal of Bill C-21 is. It mostly targets these law-abiding firearms owners like myself and my business, and it goes in actually further to start targeting the airsoft airgun community as well. Most people probably don't know this about my business, but we have been a stark supporter of the PG Airsoft Group, which is a local nonprofit group that has offered safe, insured airsoft games, which is very similar to a paintball kind of field mentality for the last 5 years. So we have been working with this group really diligently to get them a new space after they lost their space back early last year with the Roller Dome in Prince George closing. And for us, that's about a quarter of my business. So I'm potentially going to be losing an additional $25,000 worth of inventory if this pushes through as it's currently written. So terrified, obviously, and not seeing where the logic of this is. I've seen comments from the Canadian NFA saying that now they support the airsoft community as well, which I know Sheldon Clare, who's the president, he was in my store yesterday. We had a really good conversation about what was happening with this Bill C-21 and how this doesn't do anything to actually make changes. And for my business, it doesn't actually go into anything about the buyback. It has a very brief mentioning about grandfathering, but that doesn't cover businesses at all. So it really doesn't put me in any position to see any hope or change in the next up until April 21st or 31st of 2022 when we have the end of the amnesty. So right now it's really concerning to me that this is kind of the mentality that we're pushing these virtue signaling bills through, or hoping to anyway.
What's it like day to day opening your shop and seeing all of the inventory that you are unable to sell?
It's incredibly frustrating and adds an entirely different level of stress to my family and myself. Our business is family-owned. We are doing the best we can to support things in our community. Prince George is really important to us. We have 5 children, 2 with special needs. So we're constantly trying to find ways to build our community. And one of the ways that we've been successful in doing that is by having our store and being a place and a safe venue for families like ours who feel connected to hunting and sport shooting to come and build their knowledge and access the supplies that they need. So to see that continuously attacked by our federal government is really disheartening for our family and for our community. We're doing everything we can to stay open and trying to access the funds and the accessibility to whatever resources we can, but it just seems like every other day they're closing another door in our face, so it's pretty frustrating.
You have filed a lawsuit against the federal government asking for a review of Bill C-21. Where is that at right now?
It's actually a judicial review of the OIC from May 1st of 2020. So at this point, it doesn't include Bill C-21 to date. It may in the future. We don't really know. They're still waiting for court dates. We're still waiting for more information. It's incredibly slow, and I think part of the slowness is the COVID issues we're experiencing globally. And part of it, I think, is that the federal government at this point isn't really that keen to come to the table. So it's frustrating.
How concerned are you that the moratorium on owning the guns that you do have will expire while you're waiting for your case to see a courtroom?
I think that's a very realistic possibility at this point with the amount of lack of response that we've seen and the way that this mentality is pushing forward. I don't see Trudeau's Liberal Party really wanting to resolve this issue before the end of the moratorium. I feel that for him, this is about virtue signaling. This is about getting votes and confusing taxpayers and trying to push his narrative that these firearms are more deadly because they are in a taxable stock. I mean, we saw Freeland herself yesterday admitting that the firearms banned are done so because they, quote, can kill people or look like they can kill people. So when I see things like air guns and pellet guns being added to Bill C-21, I don't see that as a justifiable way to stop violence in our communities. I think that we would be much better off if we were seeing the billions of dollars that they're looking at investing into these buyback programs and these initiatives invested into community outreach programs like Intersect or Foundry here in Prince George, or into our school systems. We've got some amazing alternative education programs that base off of skill and are culturally based, like the Hawk program here at DP Todd Secondary School. So I think that we have other options that would be way more meaningful in our communities that would help kind of curb that gang mentality, because these children would feel that they are emotionally supported and they would feel like they have alternatives to joining gangs, because nobody intentionally walks into a gang, right? These kids and these people who are committing these crimes in these large urban centers and are causing this terror, they were somebody's children at some point. So there needs to be some form of early intervention. And I think personally, I feel that if we were investing the money that we're wasting currently on the OIC and bills like C-21, we could see a really positive change in how our country kind of targets these gang violence.
Always good to speak with you, Cassy. Best of luck, and we'll continue to follow the situation that you're facing at your store in Prince George.
Thank you, Carolina. It was nice to speak with you as well.
Cassy Premack, co-owner of KKS Tactical Supplies in Prince George.